Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Everyday EDC. My name is Tyler and today we have a review for you. A review of the Spyderco Kapara. Alright, let's get right into this guys after I adjust my setup here for being obnoxiously in my face. Hopefully it's not in your guys' face. Alright, so we have a review of the Spyderco Kapara. First and foremost, this thing is unique. It is a very large but slender knife, and it does not carry like a large knife. It might be slightly large, but it's not like thick or pocket hoggish at all. So when you open this up, you're going to see this long, slender body right here. It's going to look like the ergonomics don't work, but we'll get into that later, and I truly believe that they do. The reason that I think these ergonomics really work really well is A, this is a Spyderco. Spyderco almost always nails the ergonomics down of, I would say, 85% of their knives. Totally made up number, but I can't think of a Spyderco that I really hated the ergonomics on. They also have this half, I would call it actually 75-25 finger choil here that allows you to choke up and really just get wherever you want on this knife. Look how much room on this handle there is. You can literally go anywhere you want and just find your spot. Now this pocket clip is a little bit of a hot spot when you're choked down, but when you choke up, it feels a lot better. Obviously this is some really beautiful looking carbon fiber. Sorry about that. Hands are a little dry here. This is some really beautiful looking carbon fiber. We have a red G10 backspacer, and then a wire clip that is ambidextrous. We have a lanyard hole going on right there, and a little bit of milling on the inside, but not much. This thing doesn't need much milling. So we also have a stop pin right here, and some pretty cool looking pivots. This is a compression lock, and it works as such. Jumping right into the blade here, this is an S30V blade, typical of Spyderco, but it's unique. This blade shape is so different than most other blade shapes that Spyderco produces. I mentioned it in the unboxing that this really reminds me of a Kershaw bare knuckle style, like Sheepsfoot blade, and I know that's weird to say, and I consider it a compliment because I love that blade shape. Just the angles of this coming down just look pretty sweet, and the swells really give a lot of, I'm guessing what they're doing is they're doing some weight relieving but still allowing some of the strength to go to the tip without a swedge, because this is a full flat grind. The designer of this, let me look his name up because I forgot already. Alistair Phillips. Did a little bit of research on Alistair Phillips. He basically took a knife class in 2004 and then just like got really heavy into the knife world. Now, I tried to find models that he created and couldn't find too many of them. So I don't really have anything to bounce this off of, but he did very awesome with this. This Kapara, I mean, if I was somebody that really wasn't basically a knife whore, excuse the language, this would have already been in my forever inventory. I think this knife is absolutely fantastic. Kind of jumped ahead of myself there, but he really did a great job with this. And this blade is just stupid slicey. It's insane how slicey this blade actually is. A couple of last items I want to mention before we jump into the specs and the size comparisons, the recap, and my overall thoughts. He did an awesome job of keeping minimalistic hardware here. Notice there's one screw that holds in the wire clip and one for the body and one for the pivot here. One screw here, I'm not sure, I'm guessing that's just another, it's not a filler, it's probably the second screw of it all. But we have one right here, one right here, and one right there. I will get into the specs, and actually let's start on the specs right now and check the actual size of these screws, because these screws are actually really friggin' large. Start off with the T10. I was a little overzealous with the T10. The pivot is a T10. Pivot. Let's see what we got going on here. Here's a T8. It's a little loose, but I think these are T8s, but they just look really, really big. So they're really deep, and you're not going to strip these guys out. And the pivot's a T10, so that makes it even cooler. All right, let's check the overall weight on this beast. You guys are going to be really surprised and or happy with the overall weight when it comes to blade length to weight ratio here. This one's going to take it down pretty well. Coming in at 3.36 ounces. All right. Now, wait till you see the length of this guy, because this is where you're going to be like, what the, how did they do that? That's awesome. So the overall length of this guy is coming in right at 8 1/4 inches, but the blade length itself is coming in at right about 3.6 inches, and the overall cutting edge is coming just short of 3.5 inches. So you're getting more blade length than you are weight when it's like that blade length to weight ratio. This is like a 1.1. Like, it's actually a pretty good ratio there. All right, let's check your Blake. Let's check your Blake. Let's check your blade stock thickness. Coming in at 115 thousandths. Holy crap, is this thing starting off pretty narrow. And I actually think, let's see here. Yeah, 115 thousandths. So the behind the edge thickness of this guy, coming in at around 18 thousandths, 17 thousandths. Check up by that tip, see if it stays the same. It gets a little bit thicker by the tip, but not much. So 18 thousandths behind the edge. This thing is just a wicked slicey. And this has been out for a little bit. So this is competing with, and I hate to say it, with like the Savivis that have that 12 thousandths, 14 thousandths, 15 thousandths behind the edge. This does it very, very well. All right, let's get into some size comparisons. Speaking of your Savivis, we have your Savivi Elementum. And we have your Savivi Badlands Vagabond. Obviously much longer than both of those. Next on the list, we have your CJRB Sandwich. Here's your normal CJRB and your CJRB Mini Feldspars. As you can see, coming in just about, maybe almost a full half of an inch longer to a little bit longer than the regular size Feldspar, and much longer than your Mini. Next on the list, we have the Rat Model 1, which I'm just going to let that thing keep rusting because it's too late now to clean. If I just want to see how rusted it can get. I'm not even using the Rat Model 1. Alright, so the Rat Model 1 is coming in at maybe shorter, but not much. The way the camera angle is, I have it slightly angled down, so when I flip the knife, it's not off screen, because I've been watching a lot of my videos trying to do better and edit them, and it's just like, when I'm flipping it off screen, and it's got to be irritating to watch. So it is still longer than your Rat Model 1, though, which is relatively impressive, right? Last, we have your Spyderco Brethren. Don't judge this other Spyderco that I'm using for the other size reference. This is the only thing that I actually have anymore after trading everything for Spyderco. I will eventually get something better, but this is my Spyderco Tenacious and full serrations. Yes, I have a full serrated knife, and I use it when I'm gardening or something like that, like we're doing landscape and stuff, because I would rather carry that than a saw. And we have your Spyderco Little Native with your titanium scales. It's obviously longer than both of those. So let's do a quick recap, and then I'll give you my overall thoughts and whether or not this knife is worth it, the overall price. I haven't even talked about the price yet. So as a quick recap, this is an S30V blade with a satin finish. It has the sheepsfoot style, and like I said, it really reminds me of that Kershaw bare knuckle style sheepsfoot. It's just awesome and stupid slicey. We have this 3/4 finger choil with a thumb ramp in the back to make this very, very comfortable, with a compression lock that you can Spidey flick no problem, you can thumb flick no problem, and you can even compression lock open no problem. This is probably one of the better feeling compression locks I might have felt in a while. This really gorgeous carbon fiber that is contoured for the scales. Let's see, yeah, there you go, that's a good picture of it. With a deep carry wire clip that is ambidextrous, and some very large hardware that's minimalistic, so it's very cool. It's going to be easy to take apart. The liners have a little bit of milling that you can see right there. There's not much, so it's not going to be too much weight relief, but you don't need it. It's honestly, it's at 3.36 ounces. Who really gives a damn, right? This thing's already stupid light for how large this knife actually is, with this red G10 backspacer and stainless steel liners. FYI, the name is the Spyderco Kapara. Somebody did bring it up that that was a name of a spider, right? So it's kind of cool that they named after a spider. I did some research into that spider. That spider is actually in the family of the black widows. They call it the Australian black widow spider, and hence the red butt going on there. That's where they're getting the name. Is they put that little red piece there and they call it like a black widow because the black widows have that hourglass shape or the red back. So this knife, I believe, let me check my notes real quick, is coming in at $203 on Blade HQ. So just over the $200 mark, and I'll talk about whether or not it's worth it after I tell you about my likes, my dislikes, and all that stuff. So my likes. First and foremost, despite being such a long blade, this carries really well because it's so narrow and so light. It does take up a little bit more in your pocket, but due to that deep carry pocket clip, there's no flipper tab. I mean, this thing just isn't bad at all to carry in your pocket. It's 2 bug outs, basically. I mean, it's not bad. The ergonomics for such a slim knife are surprisingly good. Now, I'm going to say that kind of with the caveat that I believe that these are good for relatively light to medium use tasks. We'll get into that kind of in a second, but the action on this is so just damn good. I mean, the action on this guy is just fantastic. I'm not showing it well because I'm trying to watch the camera so I show you guys that it's in there. But the action on this is just phenomenal. The blade on this is so stupid slicey that, I mean, it's really a pleasure to cut with, guys. It's just that full flat grind. It just glides through material. And when you guys have felt something that's chunkier versus something that's slicier for slicing tasks, for example, the Artisan Cutlery Arraio, I mean, that thing is such a joy to freaking slice with. Now, puncturing's a different story, right? And then what I really like about this too is a lot of knives these days have been going through this jimping phase where they throw jimping on frickin' everything. They throw it on the thumb ramp back here, they throw it on the backspacer, they throw it over here, they throw it on that, they throw it on this, and you're kind of like, okay, I don't need all that jimping. Well, the sweet part about this is the thumb ramp going up here, there's no jimping. On this choil right here, there's no jimping. There's no jimping on the compression lock, and there's no jimping on the backspacer. There is no jimping anywhere on this knife. And it's kind of refreshing to feel. I don't hate jimping. I actually really like jimping in certain cases, and some jimping feels really, really good. But it's also really good to feel that smooth feeling on some knives, and this does that very well. So what are my dislikes? I don't have any, but if I had to choose one, this is where I talked about the light to medium use. A dislike for this is while this knife is so very, very, very slicey and so long, you get so much blade for this, I kind of feel like you're getting too much blade for how thin this is. Any type of prying, I mean, you're gonna. I'm worried about this blade. I just feel like any type of prying, you're just gonna damage this blade. So, not saying that you should be prying, but any type of hard use task kind of scares me. It's just so thin and narrow. Now, is that a legit concern? Just depends on who you are and what your daily tasks are. For me, I mean, not really. I was stretching to try and find that. I really don't have any concerns. I thought it was going to be the narrow profile in hand, and it's not. It feels really good. So I really don't have any complaints. So for $203, does that answer your question? Is it worth it? Can I recommend it? For sure. I think this thing's absolutely phenomenal. This knife is really, really good. That is all I got for you guys. I'm not going to continue the ramble, continue the BS. My name is Tyler. This has been Everyday EDC. You guys stay sharp. Stay safe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great freaking rest of your day and weekend. Have a good one. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. It genuinely means a lot. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment. If you didn't like it, give me some feedback in the comments below, and hit the thumbs down button. In case you guys don't know, I do have a Patreon, which will be listed right here. In that Patreon, we're giving bi-monthly giveaways to just the Patreons based on the number of Patreons that we have in the Patreon. We will also be giving discounts on all the knives that I sell based on the number of patrons. My name is Tyler. This is Everyday EDC. You guys stay sharp, stay safe, and have a great day.